Hello, and welcome to the next episode of a cornucopia of Tales and Tellers. Last week and this week, we have been telling stories of earth, wind, fire, and water. Last week was fire and water's turn, and this week is wind and earth. So, hello, Simona.
Hello, Alan. I'm really happy to be here for the second part of our two-part special episodes on the four elements.
And what is the tale you shall be telling us today?
So, today I'm going to tell you a story by British folklore. It's a story of the apple tree man. And what
Hmm.
about your story, Alan?
So, my story is probably for younger audiences, but my story is about the wind. And I love the idea of a community of people having communication with one of the forces of nature.
There was once a farmer who left his son a broken down cottage with some old trees, a stable with no roof, an ox covered in sores, and a donkey with a wonky leg. The boy took care of the animals, and then he tried to mend the cottage and the stable as best as he could. Then he saw that the old trees were apple trees, and he realized that the more he looked after the land, the better the tree grew. And since the trees were growing strong and fine, the more fruit they gave. And the more fruit they gave, the better he could feed himself and the two animals. And the animals grew strong. They converted their food into dung, and the more dung he gave to the land, the better the trees grew and the better the fruits were. And soon there were enough apples to make cider. Oh, it was a delicious cider, and there was enough cider to be sold. And so the son sold the cider at the market, and he earned some money, but it wasn't enough to make all the repairs to the cottage. He took care of the ox and the donkey. He made sure that they were all right. Then he went to the apple orchard and stood there among the trees. He was so sad. He had in his hand the last cup of cider. He raised it up in the air and said, "Thank you, apple trees. Thank you. I drink to you and I thank you for the crop that kept me going and kept the animals going and well fed. Now I return your efforts to you because I have to go, but you need to keep going. I won't be here for you because I cannot afford to repair the cottage. I haven't got enough money." In saying so, he poured the last cup on the roots of the oldest tree in the orchard. And suddenly, there was a strange sound, and a man stepped out of the shadow of the old apple tree. The, the son, well, he was a bit scared, a bit worried. What was happening? But soon he realized that there was no need to worry. The old man looked at him and he said, "I am the spirit of the apple tree, and you cared for us for the past year. In the roots of my tree, you will find a treasure. Take it, make all the repairs you want to the cottage. Use it well. Keep caring for us as you did, because you understand the cycle between man, animals, trees, and the land. We trust you. Do good. And then he disappeared. And the son looked and dug, and he found treasure. He cried. He could make all the repairs he wanted to the cottage and have more to feed them and keep caring for the apple tree orchard. And so the cycle continues.
Fado, fado. In a land where the wind whispered secrets and the leaves danced to its tunes, there existed a village known for its harmonious relationship with nature. This village, nested at the foot of the Whispering Mountains, was home to people who could understand the language of the wind. They were wind talkers, guardians of an ancient wisdom passed down through generations. The story begins with Ella, a young girl with a rare gift of not just understanding the wind, but controlling its force. Ella was named after the wind, but it was said her destiny was intertwined with the fate of the village. However, Ella struggled to control her abilities and often caused more harm than good. Despite her challenges, she was determined to master her gift and earn a place among the infamous wind talkers. One day, a fierce storm approached the village, unlike any seen before. It was the Wrath Wind, a mythical storm said to be summoned by the anger of the earth itself. The elders knew that no ordinary measures could quell this wrath wind. It required the intervention of a wind talker with extraordinary abilities. Their village turned to Ella, their last hope to calm the storm and save their homes. Feeling the weight of her village's expectation, Ella climbed to the highest peak of the Whispering Mountains, where the wind was able to speak the loudest. There she stood firm, closing her eyes to connect with the heart of the wind. She felt its anger, its pain, and its sorrow. Understanding its language, Ella began to speak to the wrath wind, and her words carried by smaller breezes to the heart of the storm. As Ella communicated with the wrath wind, the villagers prepared for the worst, securing their homes and taking shelter. They could hear howling winds and see dark clouds swirling menacingly above. But amidst the chaos, a miraculous change occurred. The ferocity of the wrath wind began to diminish. Its howls turned to whispers, and the dark clouds started to disperse, revealing the moonlight once more. Ella had done the impossible. She'd calmed the wrath wind, but not through force, but through understanding and compassion. She listened to its grievances, learning the storm was born of the earth's distress over the villagers' neglect of their duties to protect nature. Ella promised the wrath wind that the village would change its ways, respect, and live in harmony with the earth once more. When Ella descended from the mountain, she was greeted with awe and gratitude. The village celebrated her bravery and wisdom, and for that day forward, she was known as the greatest wind talker of her time. The villagers learned from their mistakes and worked to restore the balance with nature, guided by Ella's leadership. So the story of Ella and the wrath wind was passed down through generations, a tale of courage, understanding, and the sacred bond between humans and nature. The wind talkers continued to guard the village, but now with a renewed promise to listen to the whispers of the wind and protect the harmony of the earth. Thus ends the tale of Ella and the wrath wind, a story that reminds us of the power of empathy, the importance of stewardship over nature, and the profound wisdom that can be found in the language of the wind.
So thank you, Alan, for your story. I really, really loved it. The story of Ella and whispering to the wind. That's really nice. Like the horse whisperer, the wind whisperer. And thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you next time with our next episode. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
The Cornucopia of Tales and Tellers is a passion project brought to you by English teachers Alan and Simona, who want to create a compilation, or cornucopia, if you will, of stories from all around the world and by as many tellers from around the world as possible. So grab a cup of tea, chai, water, or usca breja, relax, and enjoy hearing tales that have been handed down for generations, or even ones that were dreamt up yesterday. Music is by Purple Planet. You can find us on Facebook at Cornucopia of Tales and Tellers. And if you like what you hear, you can buy us a coffee or cup of tea, if you prefer, to help fund future episodes and the hosting of our podcast. Link in the description.